Hello, Shadowsun here. Welcome back to my channel. So I want to talk a little bit about a post that I wrote 2 years ago about how open I am about being a witch with other people. And I feel like this goes hand in hand with my prior video on explaining my path to other people. Just because I feel like things have definitely changed in that I'm a little more open than I was when I wrote that post. I mentioned like being private, and I am still rather private about certain things in my practice. I do feel like as witches, though, we do have all something to contribute and share with one another. Even if we disagree, I feel like everybody's path is, valid, and everybody has their own way of doing something. And I feel like there's a lot that goes into that, judgment wise, but like I just mean everybody has their own path to their craft, and I feel like it's just important for us to share how we share things. I feel like being open for me, I mentioned in the post about like how I didn't really want to talk about my practice a lot. I mentioned that I really wasn't open about it with people for a long time, and I still am not super open. My thing is right now, and as I wrote in the post, I would talk about it if it was brought up, and I will talk about it if it's brought up. I won't talk about it just for the sake of talking about it. Like I said in the prior video, I won't just meet somebody and be like, hi, I'm a witch or whatever. I feel like what really breaks the ice with people is crystals. I feel like crystals just make people feel more comfortable. And I've also had some negative reactions when I've worn like a pentacle, like I mentioned in my last post and video, rather, that people assumed that I was a Satanist or whatever. And I know that people have different views on that, and different groups use different variations of the pentacle or pentagram. Some people use inverted and all of that. My thing is that when I explain to people about being a witch, I try to find common ground, like I mentioned in the prior video, but I also try to make sure that I can explain it in such a way where I'm not oversharing, because I feel like you can overshare with your practices. I feel like it makes, like, if you go into a great amount of detail, people get a little bit, I don't want to say uncomfortable, but people don't know what to think. So I try to answer the questions as best as possible. But I will say, because the negative experiences that I had in the past made me a little more like apprehensive about sharing. That being said, though, like that's definitely changing. Like I mentioned in the post as well, that was changing then and it's changing now. I am meeting a lot of new people who are really into witchcraft, or they know somebody who's into witchcraft, or they know like a friend who's like getting started in it or something. And I feel like that's really broken the ice, just like with the crystals thing. I feel like people have a more gentler reaction, for lack of a better term, in terms of when you see me out on the street and I'm wearing like a citrine bracelet or an amethyst necklace, they're like, oh, I like your amethyst, or oh, I like this, where did you get it? And I tell them, and that prompts a whole dialogue about crystals and what they can be used for, like healing or meditation or developing intuition or something of that nature. And I feel like that really breaks the ice with people. And because of that icebreaker with crystals, I have found that I've like gone into detail about, I've used crystals with, this type of practice. And when people ask about like, oh, why do you use crystals? I do mention briefly like, oh, I do practice a form of witchcraft, and with that I use crystals for protection or healing magic, or maybe I'm using it to develop my psychic abilities, something of that nature. And that really prompts a discussion with people. When then I start getting into all this other stuff magic wise, then they start asking all these further questions, and I'll do my best to answer about from my own perspective specifically, not like anybody else's. And I even tell people like, do your research, take a look and see what you find. So those are just some things I wanted to share with everybody. I wanted to make sure I covered it. I'm open enough with people that I'm not going to deny it. Like if you ask, I will, like if somebody straight up asks me, oh, are you a witch? I'm not going to say no. or if you see that I'm wearing a pentacle, or if you see that I'm wearing a particular other symbol, like a crescent moon or anything, name a thing and I'm sure I have it somewhere. I do have a crystal necklace that I used to wear, and people would ask like what I'm interested in, and I'll get into that, but I'm not gonna like outright just say I practice this or that right offhand. It's in a lot of my profiles, like I'm not hiding it from anybody, but I'm not gonna just outright discuss it. And I feel like some people can be a little too open, which isn't a bad thing. It's not bad to be open about your practices. I think, like I said, we definitely all have something to share, but I feel like if we can find a more common ground with people, we can better educate them on our practices and what we have to help them understand, because a lot of people still have a lot of fear, and culture and where you are makes a huge difference. I've had somebody tell me that they're like scared because they don't want to associate with me because I do practice witchcraft, and I said, yes, but what does that mean to you? And I ask these questions because people, when they look at their definitions and you explain your definitions, then it helps them. You're building that bridge at that point. That's a total segue, but I do talk a little bit about that in the post somewhat, in that I feel like everybody has something to contribute, but I also talk about a little more things as well, so I encourage you to read that post. And if you like what you see, please like, subscribe, and I'll speak to you all soon. Many blessings to all of you. Stay safe.